Alright guys, so I'm going to give you all 3 simple reasons to play Zenless Zone Zero. 1, 2, 3. Now if you aren't sold yet, I don't know what you're doing with your life, man. But if you are sold, go ahead and click off this video and hit download. Gamers and game, that's what is going on. My name is Tanek127 and welcome back to another video. And obviously guys, I want to talk to you all about Zenless Zone Zero today. But before we get into the video, I just want to say I hope you all had an amazing holiday. And I hope you guys all have a happy and safe New Year because, you know, New Year's is coming right up and around the corner. But if you want to stay up to date on all things Zenless Zone Zero, make sure you're liking today's video, subscribing to the channel if you're new, and let's go ahead and get right on into today's topic. So, like I've said in some of my previous gacha videos before this one, it does seem like gacha games are kind of like the new MMOs. Gacha games are obviously, you know, not all of them are massively multiplayer games. Some of them are MMOs, some have, you know, multiplayer elements and stuff like that, but they're not MMOs per se. But there's a reason I'm making this comparison, and it also seems like, you know, they're filling the void for, you know, some people. I see a lot of creators switching, you know, over to covering gacha games from MMOs and stuff like that. And, you know, let's face it, gacha games, they do a lot of things right, you know, besides some of the crazy microtransaction stuff that you got to deal with in these games, obviously. But Zenless Zone Zero is a different take that I think a lot of people, you know, sleep on here in the 2025 and 2026 area. Let me explain. So if these were MMOs, right? Let's say, you know, games like Wuthering Waves and Genshin Impact, they're your World of Warcraft, your Final Fantasy XIV, your open world and ones and all that stuff. Zenless Zone Zero is more so going to be like your instance-based one for you guys that like things like Phantasy Star Online 2 and games like that. Zenless Zone Zero isn't exactly open world. While the game does have a lot of distinct and cool areas to visit and stuff like that, it's more so, you know, just going from like town to town, doing quests, you know, working with other NPCs, characters, and then of course, you know, there's Zenless's amazing combat, which I'm not even going to talk about because there's plenty of it in this video. And, you know, if you're looking at what's going on in the background, you'll see that Zenless has amazing combat. It's Devil May Cry with just crazy fluidity and just particle effects and just yummy. All right, I don't even need to talk about Zenless's combat. The example is there. If you see that explosion of, you know, just stuff going on in this game and you're not sold on its combat, I'm maybe convinced that you just don't like action combat. But no, Zenless, the reason I wanted to talk about it today, real talk, is because one thing Zenless always does is whenever they bring up new updates and, you know, patches and stuff like that, they always impress me with one big thing. And that's its storytelling. And, you know, they just the emotional moments in the questing and stuff like that. Zenless Zone Zero has a really amazing storyline, and I don't think enough people give this game credit, you know, where it's due. Like, yes, Zenless has really flashy, fun combat. Yes, when Zenless first came out, it had this really annoying TV traveling system and stuff like that. Good God. Yes, you know, they made the silly mistake of, you know, not letting you run around in the town as your favorite gacha character in the game for the longest time. Like, Zenless has had its problems, but they've corrected a lot of these things since then, and the game has been growing, you know, just substantially. There's a really fun end game to it, and not to mention patch 2.5 is getting ready to come out. Not only are they adding some really cool characters, but they're also bringing out a multiplayer mode, finally, which I've been waiting for literally since the beta. So me and my boy can go, you know, take our characters, test our builds, fight monsters all day as bros, you know, just to our heart's content. And I cannot wait to do that. Zenless has been needing multiplayer content in it for a long time, and I think it's way overdue. But no, like I was saying before, one area that Zenless really nails its content is within its story. Every single patch when they release, you know, new storyline content and stuff, there's always these deep emotional moments. There's, you know, so much dialogue. There's, you know, like all this character building between the different characters and stuff like that. And even when they introduce somebody new, they always make it so, you know, that person grows on you within that chapter. You know, it's not where, you know, you have to wait a billion years for new quests to come out and it takes you forever to learn about them. No. they get you attached to that person, within minutes, within hours. They you learn about them, they expose themselves, they show how they are, and they build a relationship with your characters and stuff like that. I have yet to see too many characters that were, introduced in Zenless's storyline that I haven't really liked. I mean, besides, bad guys, or, people that do like dickheadish stuff in the game, the people that you're supposed to hate in the game. Obviously, those characters I really don't care too much about, but the characters, that you adapt to, build relationships with, and stuff like that. There's just, so much there when it comes to this game's story, and I don't feel like it gets enough credit. Like, yes, there's an amazing RPG there. There's, really hot gacha girls and all that stuff. There's, lots of end game content and fun stuff to do. At least, to my opinion. I know some people have some up and down opinions about Zenless's end game here and there, but I think Zenless's end game is a lot of fun. But just Zenless's storyline is just, it's really good. And when it comes to it, they don't waste time getting you into the action. They don't waste time, letting you see what's going on. And then there's always some crazy, massive, giant boss battle with, some crazy anime-like theme song and anime-style cutscenes going on of, people doing like these badass, just by the second moves and everything. It's just an awesome game. And don't get me wrong, I know a lot of the other gacha games, they offer this kind of stuff too, but Zenless just seems to nail it with every single patch. And I know 2.5 isn't going to be any different. And I know because we're on 2.5, that means we'll probably learn something about 3.0 here in 2026. And the last time they did one of their, big .0 patches, which was 2.0, they took Zenless's storyline into a whole new region and area. And, the last one was, was like based around Chinese culture and stuff like that. And I just can't wait to see what they're going to do with the future of Zenless. But anyway, guys, y'all enjoyed today's video? Smash that like. I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace out. Have a good one.